What's going on, y'all? Welcome to MMA Bros. I'm Nate,
I'm Elijah.
and today we'll be giving you our predictions on Derrick Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento UFC Fight Night. And for the first fight on our card, we got in the women's division, we got J.J. Aldrich versus Veronica Hardy. And this one is one of those fights where it's like we got to see something. You know, that's why it's in the opener, the prelims. Both these women got to show us something on why they want to get to the top. And in my opinion, I see J.J. Aldrich, she's really good at clinch work. Like most of her striking, she does throw good when it comes to just straight up boxing, but a lot of her strikes come from within the clinch. And to be honest, she isn't really the fastest striker. Her striking can look good, but it's only whenever they're in the clinch work. Whenever she's throwing the elbows, a lot of the dirty boxing, pulling you up and against the cage. And a lot of women's divisions about physicality, who's more physical. Veronica Hardy, on the other hand, she has pretty good stand-up from what I've seen, and she looks faster, she looks more sharp, she looks more technical when it comes to just strictly stand-up. So in this fight, if Veronica's able to avoid getting into those clinch moments, avoid getting pushed up against the cage and able to just stay on the outside, piece her up, she could honestly maybe get a finish if she hurts her. But Aldrich has a chin. She can walk through shots. I've seen her take some good shots in her previous fights. So you can also give it to Aldrich too, because a lot of her fights mostly come down to the clinch, and she forces that. She's gritty. She's able to close the distance and get close. But in my opinion, I think that Veronica does have the footwork. She has the hands to actually win, most likely by decision, I think.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. This fight could go either way, though.
It could. It really could.
Initially, I was kind of leaning towards Hardy, but as I did more research and I started like just thinking less about the research and thinking about it like more for myself, and I see J.J. Aldrich. She's bigger. She's got like more chub. She's more physical. So, and not only that, but J.J. Aldrich has fought better competition, and I think that her striking, like, you know, her striking isn't too bad. It's decent. And Veronica Hardy, on the other hand, she has pretty good striking too, but I feel like she's more of a kicker, and I don't think there's going to be like that too huge of a striking differential. We'll see. We're going to find out, but I'm leaning towards Veronica Hart. J.J. Aldrich. I think she'll be able to make it physical. I think she'll be able to fight well enough on the feet to not get hurt. And yeah, I'm gonna go with J.J. Aldrich by decision.
The problem with me, because at first I was with J.J. I thought she could do it too, but the hand speed difference to me, like maybe it's just the eye test, and maybe I'm just believing that Veronica's Hardy's much faster. But I truly believe she's way faster. I think she's going to have her hands full. But like I said, if JJ's able to close the distance with her grittiness, I think she could win too. I'm not going to give one way more than the other, but I just see, just trying to defend my point.
Yeah, I think it's a 50-50
yeah,
fight.
It's a 50-50 fight for sure.
And the next fight up the card is a pretty 50-50 fight too, I think, can go either way. It's Jared Gooden versus Kevin Jessie, and I'm leaning towards Kevin Jessie. I think he's a more composed striker than Jared Gooden. I think he's faster too. Yeah. I think he's got better hands than Jared Gooden. But Jared Gooden is very explosive too. He can be explosive and he's powerful, but he's not that fast. And with Kevin Jessie, with his defense, his composure, I see him fighting on the outside and just, picking Jared Gooden apart. He has less experience than Jared Gooden, so maybe the experience of Jared Gooden will show through. But because of Kevin Jessie being younger in MMA, maybe he'll improve faster than Jared Gooden.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
And not only that, just from like you said about the last fight with the eye test, I think Kevin Jessie just looks like the better striker in my opinion, and I think this is going to be a striking match. And if Jared Gooden does shoot a takedown, I think Kevin Jessie has pretty good takedown defense.
For sure.
So.
But the thing is about Jared Gooden, the reason why we think it's a 50-50 fight, because I'm also going with Kevin Jessie. But Gooden, he has power. Like, he has good power. So if he's able to find a way to get in there, to get on that good defense, the the good head movement of Kevin Gisay. I think that he could sleep him. Like these fights, especially when it's a big brawler like him, if he touches you once, you can go down and he can finish the fight. So, but the biggest thing is here is it just looks, on a technicality standpoint, it's all Kevin. He looks good. He looks as striking as crisp. He can eat a shot. I've seen him taking some good shots. So it's hard to give it to Jared Gooden, in my opinion. So
yeah, and Gisay's never been knocked out throughout his career.
Yeah.
And he fought Jack Della Maddalena and didn't get knocked out by him, and we see how good Jack is. And that fight ended in a doctor stoppage due to a cut. But yeah, I think Gisay, like you said, he's just a more technical striker. He's never been KO'd throughout his career. Maybe it'll happen here, but I'm leaning towards Gisay.
Yeah, me too. Next fight on the card, we got Jake Hadley versus Charles Johnson. And this one is interesting because Charles Johnson does have good stand-up. But the thing is he tends to keep his, like when he goes in and on the defensive, like he moves his head, he has good head movement, but he tends to duck a lot, like to the sides, and I feel like with the speed of Jake, he can really catch him, probably with a kick, maybe with just his quick hands. And that's the thing about Jake, his hands are fast. He has really fast hands, and his boxing looks crisp. He can eat a shot, and this one's most likely, in my opinion, I think this one could go to decision, but if it's a finish, I think Jake could finish Charles Johnson. And overall, the technicality of Jake, he has great jiu-jitsu, he has great defense, he has great hands, all around, it's pretty good. Same thing with Charles Johnson, he has good jiu-jitsu too, pretty decent wrestling. And I feel like if Charles Johnson wants to win, he's gonna have to hold Jake down. And that's not really Charles Johnson's style, so I feel like he goes for the finish. He tries to get these submissions, he tries to throw ground and pound, but Jake has a really good ability to scramble, get out, use his submissions to actually get up off the feet. But my problem was, I like Charles Johnson, but it's his defense that really scares me with the way he's fighting, especially in this division. Smaller guys, much faster, they read really good. So I feel like Jake, if he's able to make the reads, he's probably going to finish Charles Johnson, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe he can't catch him, but I'm leaning towards Charles Johnson on this one. And I think Jake Hadley is very good, and I think also so is Charles Johnson. And that's the reason why this is also a 50-50 fight. It could go either way. I was really torn on who to pick, but I'm leaning towards Charles Johnson, and it's because I think he's more diverse on the feet. He's really good on the back foot in that range.
He has good footwork.
Really good footwork. And, his unorthodoxness, I think it could cause a problem for Jake Hadley.
Yeah, I think so too.
Jake Hadley, he doesn't make the best of decisions sometimes. Like in his last fight, against Cody Durden, it was 1-1 going in the third round, and for some reason he shoots 2 single legs or double legs wide out in the open and loses the round. So Charles Johnson, he doesn't do stuff like that. He's smart, and as the fight goes on, I feel like Charles Johnson gets even better.
Yeah.
So not only that, but Jake Hadley is especially in that Durden fight, it's hard to compare because Durden's a much different style than Johnson, but Jake Hadley was on the pressure, on the front foot, and he was landing some good shots on Durden, but so was Durden. Durden was landing some good shots on Jake Hadley. So I think Charles Johnson's a much better striker than Cody Durden. And
I think so too, you're right.
And on the feet, I think these guys are going to go back and forth. I think it's going to be really close on the feet. I think it's probably going to be a razor close decision, and I'm going to slightly lean towards Charles Johnson.
I can agree with that. If it does go to decision, I do lean more towards Charles Johnson for sure. But I'm more betting on the fact that Charles Johnson's going to get caught eventually. And I feel like this is one of those fights that he could definitely get caught with someone with this guy he's fighting versus the other guys. They didn't have the hand speed that Jake does. Jake has some really fast hands, and that's where I'm more leaning on. Usually you don't want to go, it's MMA, it's all around. So when it comes to all aroundness, I feel like, yeah, Charles Johnson does got that edge over him. But if it stays standing, and which will most likely will, it might be some exchanges. I feel like there will be some grappling, some rolling exchanges. But it's hard to tell. This one is hard to tell. So that's why I'm gonna just stick with Jake.
Next fight up the card, we got Billy Goff versus Trey Waters, and I'm going with Trey Waters. I think his range, his height, and his distance management is going to be a problem for Billy Goff. First off, Billy Goff, I like him. He's an aggressive fighter. He's fun to watch. He's gritty, but he's not that technical. And Trey Waters, man, he's pretty good. What he did against Josh Quinlan was pretty impressive. So picking him apart on the outside pretty much dominated Josh Quinlan. And I think he's a very good rangy striker. And I think that's going to be a problem with Billy Goff. Billy Goff has never fought a guy like Trey Waters, who's first off as technical as him and as long and rangy as him. And I think these styles just really leans towards Trey Waters because of his reach, his technicality on the outside. I think I could even see him catching Billy Goff and hurting him as Billy Goff is getting aggressive, trying to land hooks, coming inside. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards Trey Waters.
Me too. I'm going with Trey Waters. I think he's going to finish him mainly because like what you were saying, the range and I think that Billy Goff is going to have to go for takedowns and tire him out if he wants to catch him because, like you said, he's wild. He's a more of a wild striker. He tends to go down there, bite on the mouthpiece, and just run in there with hooks. And I think that's a bad strategy for a guy that's literally, he's 6'5", okay, at welterweight, okay? He has almost an 8-inch reach advantage over this guy, which is insane for this. Billy Goff is only 5'10" versus a 6'5" dude. And usually, height doesn't always matter, but I feel like in this case, it definitely does. The size, the physicality, it's hard not to choose the guys. If you look him standing up and you see him on a street fight, I'm like, damn, I'm definitely going for the bigger dude.
Yeah.
But when you actually look at their fights too, the way Trey Waters fights, he's not a wild guy. He's more measured. So I feel like he's going to be able to read a wild hook. Billy Goff's going to have to reach up to hit him in his face. Granted, I feel like he could catch Trey Waters, and we don't really know how good Trey Waters' chin is just yet. So someone like Billy Goff could definitely put his lights out, but I don't see it happening. It's hard to see the stylistic matchup. Like, it's hard to give it to Billy Goff. I'm sorry. If he does win, hey, I got David and Goliath type mood, and I'll be hyped for him. But I got to give it to Trey Waters on this one.
Yeah, me too.
Next up on the card, we got Tisha Pennington versus Tabitha Ritchie. And this one's also, like, a lot of these fights could go either way. And usually I'm more definitive on certain fights. But it's one of those things where whoever's grappling is more dominant. I think Tabitha Ritchie's striking is not that well. I also think Tisha her striking isn't the greatest. But Tisha's more all around at the end of the day. When it comes to wrestling and her jiu-jitsu, based on her previous losses too, she has better losses in my opinion than Tabitha. Well, Tabitha, I think she only has 2 losses. She lost to really good women as well. So this one's tough because out of the film I've seen, it's like I could see Tabitha also going, somehow getting her down, getting her on her back and choking her out, or just dominating from back position, from backpacking. But I can also see more so Tisha, if she gets her down, I can see her just doing more dominance from being in her full guard and just preventing Tabitha from getting to other positions to get submissions. But Tisha definitely seems more physical. She seems more of like a grittier fighter that will get in there, close the distance, and seems more hungry for an actual fight. Tabitha seems more passive when it comes to fighting. So that's the main reason why I can't really go based off of too many styles. It's hard to say. They both had some decent competition and they almost equal out in a way. So I'm gonna go with Tisha for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tisha too. I think she's gonna win a decision because Tabitha Ritchie, her striking is pretty atrocious, if I'm being honest. And Tisha Torres, she's not the most amazing technical striker, but she has striking. She actually does. And I just see her actually landing damage. And I don't think Tabitha Ritchie's going to land much damage at all. And when it comes to the grappling, Tabitha Ritchie wasn't able to take down Lupi Godinez. She went like 0 for 5 or something like that on takedowns. And Lupi Godinez, she's not bad, but she's strictly a striker. Let's be honest here. Strictly a boxer. Yeah. So if we're being honest here, that's not a good look. And Tisha Torres fought Mackenzie Dern, and she lost that fight. But Mackenzie Dern wasn't able to take Tisha Torres down. 0 times. It was like 0 for 4 attempts. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Tisha Pennington. I keep accidentally calling her by her maiden name. I'm going with Tisha Pennington. I think she's going to win a decision. I think she's going to land the damage. And I don't think Tabitha Ritchie has anything for her on the feet.
Yeah, neither do I.
Next fight up the card, we got Terrence McKinney versus Esteban Ribovic. And another fight that's pretty 50-50 in my opinion. Mainly because Terrence McKinney, this dude is pretty much a 50-50 fighter, if I'm being honest. Like, he almost knocked out Drew Dober, but gets knocked out by Gabriel Bonfim in the first round. And McKinney's really good. I do like him in the first round. He is explosive, he's fast, and he also has really good grappling. A lot of people, I feel like, they sleep on his grappling. I feel like if McKinney is able to put his ego to the side and just start shooting single legs and trying to get takedowns, I think he's going to dominate most of these guys. And maybe not Ribovic. Maybe Ribovic is good enough to defend positions, but man, I trust in McKinney. I think if he's shooting a takedown, I trust in his jiu-jitsu. I think he's going to be able to get the back on Ribovic and submit him, but I don't think he's going to shoot a takedown. I think he's just going to strike with him. And even in the striking, especially in the first round, I think McKinney has that over him. I think he's got the speed, he's got the power, explosiveness. I'm going for McKinney, man. I think he wins this either way in the first round. If it makes it past the first round, Ribovic is probably most likely going to win.
He has a much better gas tank, in my opinion, too. I think Ribovic has been later second, third round. So, and I've seen him. The problem with Ribovic, even if it does get later, if Terrence McKinney in the beginning of rounds, so let's say he gets the second round. In the beginning of the round, McKinney will be all right. But as soon as that minute mark hits, 2 minute mark hits, he starts slowing down heavily in the second and third round. So I feel like McKinney could still catch him later on, because the biggest problem I see with Esteban Ribovic is that he throws too many looping hooks. Like, whenever he gets down to it, he gets him on the cage. And I could see that happening too. I could see him, if he's able, even in the first round, if he's able to push Terrence McKinney against the cage and just throw wild hooks, anybody can get caught with them, you know. But McKinney, I feel like his speed and honestly his length should be a problem for Ribovic. But man, like you were saying, it's hard to say, because as soon as it gets later, as soon as it gets past the first round, it's like McKinney becomes one of the best fighters in that division to one of the worst fighters in that division. But like I said, Esteban's his worst attribute is the fact that he swings hooks. They're powerful, they're strong, and they're quick. Don't get me wrong, but they're too looping. It's too telegraphed, in my opinion, for Terrence McKinney not to just hit him with a quick straight while he's coming in. He does it in the middle of the cage as well. He doesn't just do it when you're pushed up. Like, all right, if you're pushed up against the cage and you have somebody with their back against the cage, I get it. But whenever you're in the middle of the octagon and you're just throwing hooks, like just to throw hooks, I think that's an issue. So I see Terrence McKinney, I could see him finishing him in the first round. Either stand up or if he takes him down, he could submit him. Like you were saying, he has good grappling, good jiu-jitsu, but he doesn't use it. He hardly uses it. So, hey, we'll see with this one. I think McKinney can do it. Next fight up, we got Chase Hooper versus Borshev. And honestly, I like Chase Hooper. He's young, he's a contender. The problem is with him is his stand-up is mid too. Like, these guys I don't know. I think people hype him up too much. Maybe I might be wrong. Maybe I'm just seeing things, I'm delusional or whatever. But I feel like his hype, or when he was coming up, it was overrated. And he's definitely overrated in my opinion, but his jiu-jitsu is great. His wrestling, not so great. The only way he's gonna beat Borshev is if he's taking him down. So I think Borshev is a much stronger, more seasoned. His veteranness is gonna shine in this fight for sure, because Chase Hooper hasn't really shown anybody anything, to be honest with you. He has great jiu-jitsu. He can submit you. He can submit me. He can submit most people that are watching this video. But he's not getting Borshev in the position. I don't think he's going to be able to. Borshev is most likely just going to piece him up on the feet. And then most likely, if it does get down, it's going to be Borshev on top. And he's probably going to realize that Chase Hooper has really good jiu-jitsu. He's going to grab an arm. He's going to grab a certain position, try to get a triangle, and then Borshev's going to probably let him up. But if Borshev is able to keep that wide base and just hold him on his back, he's gonna do some damage to Chase Hooper. I don't think Chase Hooper's ready for it, to be honest with you.
But honestly, I'll recommend for him to not even try that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I think Chase Hooper's too dangerous on the ground to even risk it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the same thing. I think Borshev's gonna knock him out because Chase Hooper is very unimpressive on the feet, and when it comes to the grappling, Borshev isn't the best grappler. He's not the best defensive grappler, but just look at Chase Hooper's physique and then take a look at Borshev's physique. Take a look at the rest of the guys in the division and their physique. Chase Hooper's not that strong. He doesn't look like a strong force, and his wrestling isn't that impressive, but he has really good jiu-jitsu. So if it does get to the ground, he's going to probably take his back and choke Borshev out, but I'm counting on Borshev using his strength, keeping it on the feet. And if it stays on the feet, Chase Hooper, he's in a whole nother league against Borshev.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'm going with Borshev.
Me too. In the first fight on the main card, the opener, we got Waldo Acosta-Cortez versus Robles de Spain. I believe that's how you say his name. And I like Waldo. He's a Cuban guy. I'm Hispanic. I like rooting for my Hispanics. But I got to go for Despain, man. That dude is freaking gigantic. And he's powerful. Like, he has so much power. And Waldo hasn't fought a striker, like a true striker, just yet. Like, he's fought some guys that can strike. Don't get me wrong. Those guys are more, they're more, like, this heavyweight's just a journey guy. This guy, But, man, I can see Waldo catching him, too. Because Waldo got that fast pitch type of punch. It comes in quick, and he's fast, and he's powerful as well. And I haven't seen Despain's chin yet. So this one's going to go down to whoever hits the chin first. I truly believe. But Despain, man, I think that range, the height, it's the same thing with the Trey Waters fight. It's usually, I'm not always going for the bigger guys, but for heavyweight, usually the bigger guy tends to win, unless if your name's Cain Velasquez or DC, but Despain, man, he looks scary. I think he's going to be an upcoming prospect, and sorry to say, Waldo, like I said, I'm a big fan, but whenever you get knocked out by him, he's going to get propelled up. Whoever wins this fight is going to get propelled up in the heavyweight division 100%. But I see it Despain for sure.
Yeah, me too. I'm going with Despain because he's athletic, and Cortez Acosta just isn't.
Yeah.
He's not explosive. He's not that athletic. And Robles Despain, man, he's looking really good. He's a Taekwondo Olympic medalist, gold medalist, I believe. And Taekwondo isn't the best for MMA, but dude's got a lot of power in his hands. He's really fast. Like you said, he's huge for the division.
And he's light on his feet for being that big.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he did Taekwondo, so that's going to really keep him light on his feet. So, and not only that, but Cortez Acosta, he's not that good, if I'm being honest. He's just got that one punch. Like, against Arlovsky, close split decision. Like, come on, man. You got to be, if you want to be top 15, you want to be a good heavyweight, you got to knock Arlovsky out.
Yeah, especially Arlovsky of now.
Yeah, and Despain, we know what he would probably do to Arlovsky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, Cortez Acosta, he has that one lucky punch. It's not really lucky because Despain kind of leaves his chin open. He can get wild, and maybe Cortez Acosta can catch him. But, man, the athleticism, the size, and the speed, the footwork, I'm going with Robles Despain, first round.
I usually like to give both fighters their ways of winning. Sometimes it's like, usually, this guy's definitely gonna dominate. For Waldo Cortez, that is his chance. Like Elijah was saying, Despain tends to leave his hands open, and I think that is like the part of Taekwondo. That's the thing that he carried over to MMA, which could be a problem with other fighters. And Waldo, like he said, that right hand, that fastball pitch right hand, that comes in and touches his chin, he could definitely wobble him and finish him. But Despain, on the other hand, he could throw any punch through through Waldo's guard, and it could hurt him. That's just how powerful this guy is. So I have to go, like you said, I have to go with Despain by knockout. This is a knockout, 100%.
For sure.
There's no way this isn't going to be a finish. Next fight on the card, we got Alex Caceres versus Sean Woodson. And this one's interesting too. These guys are both strictly stand-up guys, stand-up fighters. I've seen Caceres use a little bit of his grappling, but not as much he's like 80, maybe even 90-10 when it comes to striking and stand-up. And Sean Woodson is almost strictly stand-up as well. So this one is going to be more of who can land the most shots. I don't think this one's going to be a knockout. Both these guys, they do have the power to knock each other out, but the way their technicality is, they're going to clash. This one can be also 50-50 in my opinion too, because whoever is able to outland each other. I don't know if it's going to be much of a damaging fight, and I could be wrong. I could see, if anything happens, I could see Sean Woodson actually hitting Caceres and hurting him. But Caceres, I don't see Caceres giving that power back, if you get what I'm saying. But they both have the technicality aspect. Alex does look faster, but Sean Woodson looks more poised. He looks more calm in the moment. Caceres' footwork is great. Sean Woodson's head movement is good. But I feel like it comes down to, I feel like more so of the technicality. I think Sean Woodson is overall more technical. We've seen with Charles Jourdain, and Charles Jourdain is, in my opinion, is a better striker than Alex Caceres. I think Jourdain could probably knock out Caceres. That's just my personal opinion. But at the same time, you know, MMA math don't always work. So I think that mainly just because of Sean Woodson's his poise. I think he's more calm in the moment. He makes better decisions, in my opinion. But you never know. I think Alex Caceres is a little bit more. He can add that little wildness with a spinning back fist, with a crazy high kick to catch Sean Woodson. But I'm going to go with Sean Woodson by decision on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Sean Woodson too. He's got the range on him. He's longer. He has a reach advantage over him. He's taller. He's got the range on Caceres. And I really see him just fighting on the outside and doing exactly what you said. I think he's more technical than Caceres on the feet. But it could go either way. But from what I've seen, I believe in Sean Woodson's striking. I just trust in his striking. I think he's a legit good contender. I think he could go up into the top 15 eventually here. So yeah, I'm leaning towards Sean Woodson.
Yeah, it's almost a 5-inch reach. So I mean, sometimes the reach don't really matter, but it's that range for sure. I think it's that range that's going to cause problems for Alex Caceres.
Next fight up the card, we got Diego Ferreira versus Mateus Rebecki. And I'm going with Mateus Rebecki because Mateus Rebecki, I think he's a prospect. He's a force in this division. I think he's going to go up the rankings. I think he's going to run through most of these guys on his way up to the top 15. And Diego Ferreira is going to be one of those guys. But I really do like Diego Ferreira. He's a fun fighter. He's mostly a striker. So I believe in Mateus Rebecki. I think he's going to run through most of these guys on his way to the top 15. And Diego Ferreira is going to be one of those guys. Man, Diego Ferreira has fought Beneil Dariush, Mateusz Gamrot. He fought another grappler, I believe. Don't remember who it was, but all of these guys out-grappled him. And I think Mateus Rebecki has better finishing ability than Gamrot, miles ahead of Gamrot, and Beneil Dariush. I think Mateus Rebecki is finishing more guys than Beneil Dariush and Gamrot are on the ground. So I think Mateus Rebecki is going to run through Diego Ferreira. He's going to take him down. He's going to take the back, submit him with a rear naked choke. Because Diego Ferreira, he just hasn't proven to me that he can defend the takedowns and get back up to his feet. So, yeah, I'm going with Mateus Rebecki.
Yeah, I mean, I like you said, I also like Ferreira too. I mean, granted, he knocked out Michael Johnson, but he was losing that fight. Like, he really was. And he caught him with a nice hook and slept Michael Johnson. But that's a striker. As soon as he fights a guy that's a little bit more all around, like Beneil Dariush, you could say he's a grappler, but he's really not. He's not a great grappler. He's just an all-around guy. You know, he can strike with you, and if Beneil can take him down 4 times, this guy is gonna get him. Mateus is gonna get him. I really do think Mateus is dude is aggressive. He's fast, and he does not wait any moment. He takes every moment he can. And as soon as he grabs your leg, it looks like it's almost a definite takedown. See, if Diego can go in here and defend the takedown, I feel like he can out-grit, possibly. But this guy seems gritty as well. He's not a slouch when it comes to him. He goes in there with full 100% pressure. The speed at which he goes at you is scary. Like, the way he crosses the distance, in the beginning of the fight, I think it was his last fight, dude didn't even get to the middle logos of the octagon before Mateus was on his ass against the cage. So it's hard to say. Like, I think Mateus is just that pressure is going to really shell shock Diego. I think it will, and he's going to take him down. And even if he doesn't finish him, he's going to hold him on the ground. I can see that happening for 3 rounds straight, and it probably would happen, to be honest. Because I mean, I don't. If Gamrot, I mean, I know you say he doesn't have the best finishing ability, but Neil and the other grapplers, they couldn't really do much to him when they had him down, and he ended up getting up. So it's like, it's possible. I could see Diego defending the jiu-jitsu, but overall getting tired and probably just getting beat up, just like what Gamrot did. I mean, Gamrot hit him with a knee to the body and finished him, I believe. And Beneil, I believe it was a decision. So I think one of those 2 things could possibly happen. A finish, either submission, rear naked choke, but I see more of the decision. I think this one's going to go to decision, and it could be one of the more boring fights on this card, in my personal opinion. Other people could think otherwise, but like you said, he's an upcomer. Mateus he's nice. I think he's very aggressive, and he pushes the pace. He tries to finish, unlike some other guys in that division. Next fight on the card, we got Carlos Ulberg versus Alonzo Menefield. And I like Menefield, but I like Ulberg more. And it's mainly because Menefield, he's not the best. Like, he has good takedowns, but that's the problem. That's the best thing he got. Takedowns and his power. You know, his power is really good, but his stand-up overall, he fought Dustin Jacoby. Sorry. He fought Dustin Jacoby, and Dustin Jacoby's he's a great kickboxer, don't get me wrong. He was in glory before, but that speed, you can see that he's not, like, at that weight class, he's not that fast, especially for that weight class. But Carlos Ulberg, on the other hand, his hand speed is much quicker, and he's not quick to pull the trigger. He waits his moments. He's very centered. He's poised in that as well. He tends to literally, he's a better counter striker than Menefield. Menefield can be a counter striker, and that's where he does his best too. And this could be a counter striker versus counter striker. And usually Ulberg is the one getting pushed back on the back foot. And he's not meeting with you in the middle, and that's where Alonzo, he shines. Menefield shines whenever somebody likes to stand in there right in the middle of the cage. But he fails whenever he fights against guys that know how to do the distance. And Ulberg's got great footwork. He likes to circle around the cage. He circles around the cage really well. He moves his head. And I can see him catching Menefield with a straight coming in. He's going to probably I see Alonzo getting frustrated and trying to go either throw a flurry or go for a takedown, and Ulberg is just going to sleep him. I really do see that happening.
Yeah, I'm going for Ulberg too. I think Menefield, he's not that technical in the feet, if I'm being honest. And Carlos Ulberg, he's all technique.
Yeah, he's all technique.
He's got really fast kicks. I see him tearing Alonzo Menefield's legs up with the leg kicks. And as the fight goes on, making his reads and just, like you said, finding that one shot, finding that opening and hurting Menefield and finishing him off. But Menefield's a tough dude. He's gritty. He's got power. And, I don't think he's too bad. I'm not saying he's a bad fighter, but he's just not the same level of Carlos Ulberg. So, yeah, I'm going with Carlos Ulberg. I think he's probably going to knock him out, but it could go to decision, too.
Yeah, I think it could. And I don't want to count Menefield out because he has that night power. And he can really, like, just throw a wild flurry. Ulberg doesn't see it coming, lets his guard down for one mistake, and Menefield can take advantage because he is gritty. He likes to bite down on his mouthpiece too. So it's iffy to say, but I feel like when it comes to overall skill, Ulberg should have this in the bag.
Yeah. Next fight up the card, we got Joaquin Buckley versus Nursultan Ruziboev. And first impression of this fight, man, Buckley's coaches, what are y'all doing, man? Why are y'all fighting Nursultan Ruziboev? This dude is looking like a force in the division. Buckley's just broke into the top 15 of the welterweight division, and he's taking on Ruziboev. Like, come on, Buckley. I think that was a bad decision on Buckley and his coaches. He should have been looking up the division and looking up to who to fight ahead of him or in the top 15. But, Buckley's he's a savage. He'll fight whoever, so I respect him for it. He don't care who it is. He's taking the fight, so I got to respect him for that. But I think I'm going to go with Ruziboev, man. He's He's so huge for the division. They have him listed at 6'5". He's gonna have the reach over Buckley. And every time Buckley fights a fighter that is longer, rangy with the reach, he struggles. Against Kevin Holland, he struggled with the reach. Against Imavov, he struggled with the reach. And Imavov was also putting a grappling pace on him too. And I could see Ruziboev doing that too. Another thing with Ruziboev, I really like his striking. I like his uppercuts. He's got really good uppercuts. He times them very well. And I could see Buckley coming in aggressive, moving his head, like doing that Mike Tyson stuff, coming in and getting caught with an uppercut. But at the same time, if Ruziboev doesn't land that uppercut, if he's off and he misses and Buckley counters him, it's gonna be a problem for Ruziboev. But you know, this fight could go either way, but I just see so many more ways to win for Ruziboev. And when I look at his style, the ranginess, and all these things put together, I gotta go with Ruziboev. But I hope Buckley knocks him out.
Yeah, I hope so too, because I'm also going for Ruziboev as well. His actual overall octagon presence is much larger, and it seems he's more of a like in your face type fighter, and that could actually help, in my opinion. I think I can actually help Buckley because Buckley's footwork is good. He's gotten as his fights go on, he tends to move around a lot, and I can see that being trouble for Ruziboev because he's so flat-footed and he's not really. I mean, he can throw some kicks as well, Ruziboev, but he's super flat-footed when it comes to putting on that pressure. Buckley is always on his toes. He's moving around the octagon, and he could probably find it, but he's also going to have to reach up and hit him. I want Buckley to win as well, but the power, the way he marches, he's almost like a Terminator type feeling. I see Ruziboev, and he was stand there in the pocket with you if you really give it to him. So that's the problem I see here with Buckley is that he's gonna look good. I think he's gonna look good in the beginning. I really do think so in the first couple minutes. But Ruziboev finds his shot. Once he finds his range and able to hit you at least once, he can do it. The only thing is when he fought Cendric Dumas, he eye poked him, and we didn't really get to see much of Ruziboev. He was winning the fight anyway so far in the beginning of that fight. He was landing the shots, the uppercuts, but it wasn't until he eye poked him and the dude was caught off guard. He landed on him, and that's the problem. I think Buckley has the defense, good enough defense. I don't want to say
Dumas is nowhere near the level of
He
Buckley.
isn't.
But he was catching Dumas even before the eye poke.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the finishing sequence started with the eye poke.
I feel like if you fight Ruziboev, you cannot give him too much respect. The moment you give him too much respect, that's whenever Ruziboev looks really good. And even his past fights and his other fights. Usually whenever those guys feel a little bit of the power, feel a little bit of that range to see that they're getting touched up, that's whenever they start to go down. And that's my problem with Buckley, is that once he starts getting touched up, he seems like he's getting discouraged. Maybe he's different now, but I think Ruziboev, as the fight, especially as it gets later on, Buckley has a worse chance. I think Buckley's going to have to find a way to finish Ruziboev to stop that hype train. And especially, like you said, he didn't need to take. He shouldn't have taken this fight. This was a dumb fight to take. He's only had like 2 fights in the UFC so far, and Buckley hit the top 15. Mm-hmm. You know, he took many fights to even get to that point. Mm-hmm. But we got to give him respect. If he goes out there and knocks this kid out, I can't really say kid because he's older than me, but he knocks this guy out, man, that's going to look so good for Buckley, and you might as well give Buckley a top 5 guy, in my opinion. Yeah.
And another thing I want to add before we move on, Ruziboev, like you said with the eye pokes, he's willing to throw an eye poke out there, and I don't respect it. It sucks because, like, this isn't what the sport's about, eye poking and shit, but the fact that he's willing to throw those eye pokes out there, he's Russian, so you know the UFC wants him to win.
Yeah.
So if he eye pokes, they're not going to call it a no contest. So if he gets an eye poke stoppage and knocks out Buckley, they're not going to make it a no contest. He wins and he's going to move up. So that's another thing that I feel that we can throw into this prediction, man. He's willing to throw some eye pokes, and it's not a good look. I don't enjoy it, but hey, we're predicting. We're not saying who we want to win. So.
Yeah. And finally, for the main event, we got Derrick Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. And out of all honesty, I can't really break down too much about this fight, mainly because Nascimento was nothing special. He really isn't. He's a bum. I'm gonna be honest with you. He's a bum. He's one of those guys that you give someone to get knocked out or to see if they can go further, like a gatekeeper type dude to try to get him into top 15. And Derrick Lewis is the black beast, Derrick Lewis. So 100%. Now I'm gonna say 99 because anything can happen in heavyweight. So I'll give him 99%. He's knocking this dude out. He should. And if he doesn't, if Nascimento knocks out or destroys Derrick Lewis got to retire. He's done. He's done. Derrick Lewis wasn't even training as much. We all know this. And if he did, Derrick Lewis would be a freaking monster. You know what I mean? He'd probably still be in the top 5 and trying to get to that title. But this dude, he just lives off his power, lives off of his gritty, his dog mentality. Like, that's Derrick Lewis. Nascimento don't got the hands to do it. He barely has the jiu-jitsu to do it. So if Rodrigo does win, he's taking down Derrick Lewis and holding him down. And you know, keep repeatedly doing that. Mm-hmm. But Derrick Lewis, anything he does is gonna hurt Rodrigo. Anything. So we'll see with this one. I think Derrick Lewis should definitely put him down.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm going with Derrick Lewis because the only fighters Derrick loses to are actual good fighters. Like Sergey Pavlovich, Cyril Gane, Almeida, even Tai Tuivasa. You can say Tai Tuivasa, oh, he's not that good. He's good. When it comes to strictly striking, we know Derrick Lewis is a striker, and Tai Tuivasa is a dangerous striker. Tai Tuivasa almost knocked out Cyril Gane. He's explosive, he's athletic and fast on the feet, and Nascimento just isn't. He's not that fast. He doesn't have that much danger on the feet. He's just a big old fat heavyweight who just slugs in the pocket. He's not that special, and Derrick Lewis only loses to special fighters. Mm-hmm. So I gotta go with Derrick Lewis. I don't see him getting taken down. Nascimento is not the same type of grappler as Almeida. He doesn't have the technique as Almeida in the grappling, and on the feet, he's nothing special. So yeah, I'm going with Derrick Lewis. He's gonna get the KO. I'll say second round KO.
All this is, to be very honest, is an alley-oop to Derrick Lewis.
Yeah.
If Derrick Lewis can just grab the ball and put it in the hoop, he wins. Mm. That's literally it. And I don't mean to bring analogies in this, but that's literally what it is. It is what it is. And Derrick Lewis, we love you, man. We just want you to freaking succeed and keep extending that KO record. Yeah. You should, especially after this fight.
Yeah. And Buckley, you better fucking win, bro. Because if not, you're an idiot.
Yeah. Or at least make it look like a competitive, nice, good fight. Don't get knocked out.
Yeah, man.
But that's going to wrap it up here. I'm Nate.
I'm Elijah.
And this is MMA Bros. We hope you guys all enjoy.